How we doing? Welcome back into my den. I'm Tobin. Episode 17, holding the wrong brush. Episode 17 in my brush review series, the Oumo ST-2. If you missed my first impressions, I have this set in an Oumo handle, and it is one of their chubby handles. I do believe this color is no longer available, but they still have a wide selection of chubby handles. In the description will be a link to my Oumo ST-1 review, as well as the playlist for my brush review series. I'm going to follow the same format as I have in the previous 16 videos. I will say up front that with these reviews, I am looking for positives and negatives. There's some things to really love about this new fiber, and there's some things that may disappoint you as they disappointed me. I feel like the ST-1 wasn't Oumo's first synthetic. The one that I'm familiar with, and I believe maybe it was their first, it might not have been, is the Sparrow. I haven't done a review of it, but the Sparrow has good backbone and is very much what you would expect from your garden variety, if you will, your average synthetic fiber. And right now you can get it super cheap. It's on sale at Oumo. I'm not going to profit from any sales of any Oumo products, and I purchased the brush. I did not receive the brush from Oumo. I purchased it with a whole other story. Focus, Tobin. I purchased the brush. So I have the Oumo ST-1 in two different handles that I purchased from them. I have the regular density 25 millimeter, and I have the extra density 25 millimeter. I also have the Oumo ST-1 in two handles from Hendrix Classics, which now that Oumo is charging $23 to ship to the United States, Hendrix Classics has definitely become the way that if I do purchase any more ST-1s, that's where I'll be looking to purchase them from. I think it would greatly benefit Oumo and us if they brought their product to a retailer or wholesaler here in the States, because that $23 shipping, there's not a minimum that you can reach. If you spend $1,000, you're still going to pay for shipping. There is no free shipping threshold. And I factor the cost of shipping into everything. When I go purchase somewhere, whether it's Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements or Oumo, I'm always looking for the free shipping threshold, and I do my very best to achieve it. Most recently, I actually did a shipping threshold that was 16 cents over. I had to spend 9 or 16. I had to spend 75, and I just barely reached it, and I did that strategically. All right, that's enough about that. But what I was getting to, though, is that from the Sparrow and the ST-1, we have a fiber that has backbone. I really think that Oumo would have done themselves a favor, as well as you and I, if they would have not called this the ST-2 and they would have given it a different name, because in a lot of ways, this is anywhere near what the ST-1 is. It's an entirely different fiber. It really is. It's made from a different fiber, and the way it behaves is different. What I expected was the ST-1, but improved, and they totally did what appears to me, they totally did away with the ST-1 and went with something brand new, totally different, and it just changed the ball game. So let's get into it. I've written down right here some scores that I've given in previous videos for the ST-1, the Mula, as well as the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrement Atomic Rocket. 3 categories broken down into two divisions. The first category we're going to look at is basically just the softness of the fibers. And so for the softness of the tips, you do not get any softer than this. You don't. It is super, super soft. It is even softer than what Phoenix does and what Mula has done. It is the softest tip I have ever experienced. I had my wife and Emily play with this on 2 different occasions, and they both agreed that this is like twice as soft as the ST-1, and they both said that it's twice as soft as the Mula STF, which I own in 2 different handles, also a 25 millimeter. I've tried to purchase all of these in 25 millimeters to keep it average, to keep everything the same, because that's how you do things, right, with a scientific approach. The face feel, I'm also going to give it a 10. This is the face feel being when you splay the fibers open and you actually feel the inside, what it feels like inside of it. So the tips, super soft. And then also when you splay it open and get it on your face, it's super, super soft. Like, I don't see how you get them any softer than what Oumo has done with this brush. Soft tips, a 10. Face feel, a 10. The softest brush you will ever experience on the market today. I'm confident in saying that. I don't own every brush, but I own a lot. Backbone, ease of splay. So with this, we're looking at the structure, the strength of the fibers. And this is where I feel like they totally, Oumo, went off course with naming this ST-2, because here is where the differences are really apparent. As to where with the ST1, I gave it a 6 for the regular density and a 7 for the extra density. And then the ease of splay for the regular, I gave it a 6. And for the extra density, I gave it a 4. The backbone on this is very similar to your run-of-the-mill silver tip. This is the first ever silver tip I ever purchased. It is the Omega 636. Now, if Oumo was attempting to create something exactly like this when it comes to softness and floppiness, it's a home run. And if that is what you're looking for in a synthetic brush, you've already watched the video too long. Go purchase the ST-2 because you're going to love it. However, this is one of the floppiest badgers I have in my den. It's definitely one of the softest badgers I have in my den. It's the first silver tip I ever purchased. I purchased it years ago. I still use it. I'll never get rid of it because it was my first. You know, your first is always special, and this one is special to me. You can tell by the way the Omega is worn off, right? This behaves like that behaves. When you get it wet, here's some photos of it wet. It's like a wet noodle. And then you can even kind of see it when it's dry, how there's no strength to the structure of these fibers. None at all. None. I'm going to give it a 3 for backbone. Now, ease of splay, they got a lot of fibers packed into here. And what do I mean by ease of splay? So backbone would be the actual strength of each individual fiber acting together, right? And then so once you do that, how easy is it to splay them apart, right? So we've looked at the strength of the fiber itself, and then now the way that they have it in the handle, the way that they have, how many they have in the handle, how easy is it to splay them? With 5 being average, I'm going to give this a 5. They have jam-packed a ton of fibers. And it is 25 millimeter. I don't think any more fibers in it will do anything for the backbone. The loft is already super low. That's what I measured mine to be. So the only way to make this not have more backbone would be to shorten the loft, which they've already done. I mean, finding a brush today with a loft lower than 50 millimeters is unheard of. The industry standard is right about 55 millimeters. And so in an attempt to give this thing backbone, Oumo has already shortened the fibers down to 50 millimeters. And they did that, in my opinion, because it lacks backbone. And so they were trying to compensate. We all try and compensate, don't lie. They were trying to compensate for that structural integrity by shortening the fibers. And it still didn't really work. I'd hate to see how floppy this thing is at 55 millimeters. You know, you could drop it down to 45 millimeters if you set it in the handle, you know, even lower, but then you're getting a super, super short loft. And at that point, you almost like, what's the point? Because it's not going to splay. Yakety schmackety. But because of the way they have it packed in here, and because of how short the fibers are, you do get this nice massaging scrubbiness to it. It's not a scritchy, it's not anything like that, but there's a nice massaging action that you do get from the shortness of these fibers, and the way that they're packed and they're so tight. I do believe that this is what you would consider an extra dense, and that's why, unlike with the ST1, and they still have it on their website today, they market the regular density, and then for a few dollars more, you can get an extra density. And all that means is that they've put more individual strands of fiber in this handle than they've done with this one. And by doing that, you're giving it more strength. You know, it's kind of like what's that old saying about tying bands together, right? And they're stronger than by themselves. Some old saying, if I remember, I'll put it right up there. You know what I'm talking about. So they don't even offer that with the ST-2. And that, I believe, is because what we have here is already what I would consider an extra dense knot. And they don't want to offer a regular density because it would be the floppiest thing you could ever imagine. I enjoy this brush. I do. Flow through. That's another place that I ding these fibers. They flow through. We're measuring like how easy it is for water to flow through the fibers and come out, how easy it is for the soap to be released. This is the third category we're looking at. So we looked at softness and face feel, measuring in an attempt to overall measure the softness of the fibers from the tip to the inside. Then we looked at the backbone and the ease of splay. So now we're going to look at flow through and retention. And so for flow through, I'm only going to give it a 3. This brush does not seem to want to release its fibers. I've had a little over a month. I've used it for almost every shave. I lost count. I've used it right around 20 times. One thing I did do is I used it for a week or two, somewhere around 10 shaves, and then I started putting it in head-to-head competitions where I literally had 2 bowls. I would lather both with the same soap and then apply it to the face, trying to use the same amount of water, and literally use 2 brushes. And then I did that with the regular density. This week I've been doing it with different PAA brushes and really trying to see just how well this thing would release the fibers. I even like to do a bath test where I'm not in the bath, but I stick my arm in the bath and I try and fling it. It's something else that I've been doing with all these videos to try and see how well it'll hold on to it. And then when I'm done, I string it out. And with that, I'm using what I call the Matthew method, which is a quarter of a teaspoon. And, using anywhere from 10 to 20 milliliters of water, depending on the soap base. But I got a whole system in a ratio. This brush does not want to release the fiber, the water or the soap. I'm giving it a 3, with 5 being average. And, the higher up you go, the easier it releases. Retention, so measuring kind of the same thing, right? But looking at it a different way. With retention, I'm going to give it a 9, and that's because the higher it is, the more it holds on to it. So for retention, it's holding on to it. It does not want to release the soap or the water. And so for me, and for most wet shavers, that's not a good thing. I'm going to give it a 9 for retention. Brings us down into the final thing, and for me, it's the most important part of it, is overall value, taking everything that we considered above and trying to attempt to put a value to it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, right, that they're charging $23 to ship. The knot is $35. And even if you just buy the knot, I tested it, I put it in my cart. Even if you just buy the knot for $35, you're still going to pay $23 for shipping. So that's $58 for a synthetic knot. That is ridiculously expensive. Okay, so now we add in the handle. The handle is beautiful. It's built very well. All of their handles are. I put these in chubbies just so that I could keep it scientific and simple. And so all 3 of these are in chubby handles. These are my 3 Oumos that I purchased directly, right? You got the ST1 regular, ST2 extra dense, and then now the ST1 regular, ST1 extra dense, and then the ST2. All in chubby handles. I love all 3 of them. They're built very well. Even the simple black, it's got this nice sheen to it. Makes me think of like a car, a fast car, or something like that. I love the color black. $50 for a resin poured handle isn't a bad deal. It's a good deal. I feel like if you're just buying the handle, it wouldn't be bad. But again, if you're buying just the handle and I put it in my cart, you're still going to pay $23 for shipping. So it's not a $50 handle, it's a $73 handle. Buying the handle and the knot together is going to bring you to $85. Add on the $23 and you're looking at $108 for this brush. Now I did pay a little less than that because I bought mine on the day that they released and they had a deal. Currently right now, as of recording this on December 1st, they do have their Black Friday Carnival, I think they're calling it, going on. But that only takes $5 off of the knot and $5 off of the handle. So you're still looking at $98, even if you were to buy it today, Black Friday. Considering all that above and all the other brushes we have on the market, the other 16 brushes that I reviewed, the other 200 or 300, however many brushes I have now, way too many. Never too many. Man, get your hat on straight, dude. So all those things factored, I'm only going to give it a value of 4, with 5 being an average deal. Like, okay, like you can live with it. 4, with the current price, I would never ever buy another ST-2, not directly from Oumo. Maybe if they came stateside and I could buy one for $20 and put it in a different handle. I just feel like $100 for this when we can buy fibers that are almost as soft or just as soft. It just doesn't compute for me. I could literally buy almost 5 Phoenix Artisan brushes. You know, they're just over $20 now. I think you can get them for a little over, the ST-1, a little over 30 from Hendrix Classics. I still highly recommend the Pure Bliss from AP Shave Co., which you can get for $30 to $40. So I'm only going to give it a value of 4. I've heard people try and justify the expenditure. One person or a couple people basically said during my conversations with them that it whips up a great lather. It does whip up a great lather. It doesn't want to release the lather. But at the same time, I can take a $5, $8 brush from Amazon. Here's this cheap. I almost used a 4-letter word. Cheap as, you know what, Gillette brush here that I think I paid like $10 for 3 of them back in the day, years ago. I had 3 of these. I think I still have one that's not opened because I'm a schnerd. This whips up a great lather. Does it feel good on the face? You know, does it do the things I want it to do? No. But does it whip up a lather? Yes, it does. And you know what else it does? It releases the lather. So, you know, saying that it whips up a great lather, that doesn't justify the $100. So that's my review, my subjective opinion. What's your experience like with it? I know the 5 or 8 people I've talked to, their experience has been the same. If you're a nerd like me, you know, and you have a brush acquisition disorder, it's worth the purchase. You know, if you're looking for something super soft and you're looking for something that behaves exactly like a floppy silver tip, you're going to love it. But if you're looking for something that is, you know, like the ST-1, you're going to be disappointed like I am. That's my review. It's the little big things, my friends. And always in this review series, the little big thing is value. That's my honest opinion. If you disagree, I'd love to hear, you know, your experience with it. I don't think a 27 or 29 millimeter is going to rectify the problem. I think it's only going to make its problems worse. And I don't think that a less dense knot is going to fix the problem either. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time.